Great news as California cancels Halloween. Seriously. Cities across California tonight announced they are canceling door-to-door Halloween, which is incredible great news for Nancy Pelosi, who is expecting millions of little children looking for their second stimulus checks to come to her door. And with jack-o'-lantern asked for some candy, to which Nancy was expected to say, "Children going hungry." Parents are expected to join the children dressed up as Vidal Sassoon, saying, "Hey, Nancy, give me some stimulus checks in exchange for some blow dryer to that hair. Starting to look a little bit more like Mitch every day." Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Actually, good evening. Thank you for joining me for Evenings LALATE, our 1 hour programming block that starts every night at 6:30 with the check and then goes to a special broadcast shortly after this one about EIDL and PPP under the second stimulus package introduced yesterday. Why PPP is being brought back and why not EIDL, and what you should be looking for in this debate and vote tomorrow. Yes, it's going up for a vote tomorrow. If there was ever a time you're supposed to subscribe or should subscribe and like this channel and video, it would be today as we try to get to 250,000 subscribers. More about a surprise at the end of this video, but let me get to the incredible details right now. They are twofold. I will be covering tonight in this video first that there's new indications that a Trump executive order for second stimulus checks is looming. Two, there's indication that a Trump executive order for LWA 2.0 is looming. If you didn't catch that in the afternoon's LA video on unemployment benefits, I'm going to be going over that shortly in a minute. And then third, these shocking remarks. If you don't like people to be checked, you might want to check out at that point in the video, in which we literally go over, for the first time ever on this channel, every single time that Donald Trump has said to you, you're getting second stimulus checks, and every time you didn't get them. Oh, yes, we're going there. So here is the incredible great news this evening, is that there's more indication that Donald Trump may, shall, and urgently issue second stimulus checks by executive order. These details were first covered by this channel in doing a brass calculation of really what's involved and going over a purview of the authority inherent in the executive orders under the Constitution. First, the president has complete executive authority to send out second stimulus checks because the money is not in Treasury. Treasury is like a bank, and the bank has a lot of money in it. It's run by Steve Mnuchin, and you need an act of Congress, a vote of Congress, both houses, Senate and House of Representatives, to send out money from Treasury. But if the money's not in Treasury, you don't need to ask their permission. So where is other money just sort of sitting around? It's not in our bank accounts. It's not in Nancy Pelosi's jack-o'-lantern. Well, maybe it is, but and we certainly don't have the stimulus checks in our bank accounts. So where is all this money just sort of sitting around? There's a lot of federal agencies in the U.S. government that were granted, given money under previous laws, and that money sort of sits there now because those laws have expired and the money was never used. An example is, for example, let's say they establish something in March for COVID-19, and it's to provide benefits for X, Y, and Z, and expires in July. Well, there happens to be some money left over, and the plan is now expired. There's no reinventing of the program. It's gone. It's dead. But the money's still in the account. So where does that money go? It does not go back to Treasury. It stays in the account. That is the money that the president has earmarked in comments last Friday. Now, what's important to understand is that he specifically said this is money from the first stimulus package that was not used. So viewers have asked me overnight, why didn't he send out the money before? Because the program may have been live before and only expired just recently. A lot of the programs of the CARES Act expired in July. For example, PPP just expired about 2 weeks ago. EIDL was delegated certain amounts of money. in my heart of hearts, if was I to guess what this money was for, I would say it's PPP. It got many, many billions of dollars that were unused, returned. Even if it's not PPP, I've detailed overnight that there's upwards of $200 billion additionally on top of $300 billion, bringing it to $500 billion that the president can use to send out money. So why are we just talking about stimulus checks? Oh, no, we aren't. I believe that based upon the calculations of the money I see out there, the $300 billion that the president represented, the $200 billion that I've located, the cost and analysis of LWA 1.0, and the cost of analysis of stimulus checks back in March, I think there's enough money for the president to do 2 executive orders. 1 for stimulus checks, and 2 for another round of LWA, which I'm now calling LWA 2.0. I think that that's what is going to happen. It's absolutely incredible. Now, let's go over the details of it. First of all, we know there's the amount of money there. That's the first thing. Second, we know he can send it out. Third, how quickly could you get the money? You would likely get the money in the same routing times I've always talked about on this channel. So about 10 days for stimulus checks, maybe add 1 or 2 days for bank processing. If you're on SSDI, SSI, Social Security, and Railroad benefits, it would come electronically. If you're teed up with the IRS for any type of payments or receipts or things like that electronically, it would come electronically. And if you're not, then it would come by paper checks, which you would add basically another week to it. Who would send out the money? The agency where the money is now set would send out the money, because that is basically what the executive order says. It would say something like, I have identified money in the coffers of SBA from PPP round 2 in April, and I so decree that this money is now sent out by SBA to all U.S. households, blah, 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 blah. That's how it would work. Ultimately, you have to hope it's one of the agencies that sends out money relatively quickly. SBA is quick. FEMA is quick. CDC is just, you hope it's someone actually that, moves their butt. But that's the incredible, great news. So we now know how it would happen. We now know how quickly it could happen. The next question is how much. You have to really just presume that it's the last versions of what this president has always said. His last versions was $1,200, individuals, married couple, $2,400, going according to the CARES Act, so less than $99,000 2019 earnings, less than $198,000 married couple 2019 earnings, and then dependents. He was going to give all dependents, whether minor or adult, $500, not $1,200. I think that's probably what he would do with this one as well. And that he would likely do a household of 4, because that was his most recent tweet about numbers. I'll get to that in a second, August 15th. So that is what I expect. The maximum I would expect is about $3,400 for a family of 4. Now, how about LWA 2.0? I think that's going to happen. I think that's going to happen because the money is sitting around there. And if you're going to do stimulus checks, why not just do LWA? Why not get it all done? How much would LWA be? I think it's going to be the same hot buzz express it was the first time around. If you don't know what's happening tonight, states are sort of confusing people. It's all great news for LWA, but it's hideously confusing. Basically, the first few states will be paying you 6 weeks of benefits. The later states will be paying you 5 weeks. No one is going to be paying you 4, and no one's going to be paying you 3. There's slight possibility that Arizona may pay you 7 because they have part of a 7th week, but they don't have the full 7. That's what's going to happen. You're going to get 6 to 5 weeks. Next, viewers are asking me, how is it getting paid? So you're going to get lump sums for to get up to date to the president. It's all retroactive. Every state is doing retroactive. So if you look at your calendar and whatever your week you are, how many ever weeks you are out from FPUC, that's what you're going to get retroactive up to that date, and then you're going to get single checks going forward. All right, so stimulus checks, let's get back to that, and FPUC by executive order. Would the president do it? When would he do it? And when would he hear about this? Now, there's a lot of gossip. I gotta say, it's gossip. It is not news. It's gossip, but there's a lot of gossip. He's going to do it this weekend. I just can't report it as news, and I won't report it as news, but I want you to know that there's gossip out there. Second, there's 1,000-something viewers of this channel who have said he always does executive orders on the weekend, so pay attention on Saturday. Yes, that's true. Every executive order he has done has been on Saturday, and he's always announced on a Friday, and he's always talked about stimulus checks on Friday. So, you got to struggle Monday through Friday and listen to Temple Doom, and then come Friday, then you got some good stuff. But then there's the big question of the night. Actually, there's two big questions. The first big question is he telling the truth about the $300 billion? I think he is. But the next big question is really this one, and I have to go here. I mean, you would wonder why I'm not going here, and that is, does he really want to do this, or has this always been a misstatement to the American public? I am going to go through every single time that President Donald Trump has told you're going to get second stimulus checks, all the way up to the present. And you will gauge whether or not all these representations are great news because he's saying he's going to do it, or were false news because he eventually never did it. It's ultimately you to decide. I have my opinion that at the end. June 22nd, he said that most famous comment that viewers know, almost verbatim, that he would send out more generous checks in the next few weeks. If you're on Twitter and did not see my tweet earlier today, I will again tweet it around the time at which this video goes live, of an interview in which he's in the White House and he's asked about stimulus checks, and he says he will be sending out checks in the next few weeks, and it will be a lot more generous than what the Democrats had proposed at that time, which was $1,200. Next time, July 1st, when asked about a stance on second round stimulus checks, he told Fox Business News, I do support it. I support it, but it has to be done properly. I support actually larger numbers than the Democrats. I want the money getting to the people to be larger so they can spend it. I want the money to get there quickly in a non-complicated fashion. This was July 1st. This channel launched on April 25th, so May, June. This is when this channel was starting to do stimulus reports. And we all remember this one where he said the Democrats' number of $1,200 was not enough. He wanted to do more. He wanted to go out in a non-complicated fashion, and he wanted it to be bigger than $1,200. And Steve Mnuchin really supported him at the time and said, we're going to get it out faster and easier. That was July. August 14th, that tweet. I certainly made, a couple of videos about this tweet where, remember, there was that Friday evening and he sent out 5 tweets in consecutive order, and I even did a screen grab on the screen of the recording. He tweeted, August 14th, I've directed Steve Mnuchin to get ready to send out direct payments, which is stimulus checks, $3,400 for a family of 4 to all Americans. Democrats are holding this up. Tonight, Democrats are not holding this up. Tonight, the bill that was introduced by Republicans doesn't have stimulus checks in it. August 11th, White House press secretary reminded reporters that stimulus checks were going to be coming. The president would love to see the direct payments to Americans. Again, direct payments means stimulus checks. That the president would love to see school funding. There are several items we'd like to see happen. August 15th. During a press conference in Bedminster, New Jersey. We remember this one. This was that Friday we had a press conference, and he talked about stimulus over and over and over again. And the next morning were the executive orders. This is the Friday press conference, August 15th. The country is doing very well right now. We can live happily without another stimulus package. We've gotten everything we want. We've gotten a great economy. All you have to do is look at the charts. But hours later, he tweeted, I have directed Steve Mnuchin to get ready to send out payments to all Americans. Democrats are holding this up. September 4th, which is last Friday. Now we have $300 billion in an account that we didn't use, $300 billion, and we're willing to use it. We're willing to release it. So we have $300 billion sitting in an account that we didn't need because things are going so well with the economy. All the Congress has to say is use it. And, of course, the remainder of the quote, which I don't have in front of me, says, there's a theory that says I can send it out. What's going on with him? So many times, and, I can go over Mark Meadows and Steve Mnuchin's. I'll be recording to tomorrow morning. Every time they said you're going to get a second stimulus check. Tonight, they're not consistent with those statements. They're flip-flopping. And they're not even consistent that there's going to be a third stimulus package in late September that would have the things that we were going to worry about, additionally, like food, hazard pay, EIDL. Now Mnuchin says, I don't even know if we're going to get to that. What's going on here? Tomorrow is a vote, and tomorrow is a vote at which Mitch McConnell's bill from yesterday is voted upon by the Senate floor. I got to say something before I continue. I just referred to it as Mitch McConnell's bill. You know, there's this whole dynamic that the president has played about these bills being Mitch's bills and not the president's bills. If you recall, the HEALS Act, when introduced, we thought it was the president involved. We were told that Mnuchin and McConnell had been writing this bill for 2 weeks, but after it was introduced, the president said, I have nothing to do with it, and called it an irrelevant bill. Okay, is the president doing this again? Is it sort of like he aligns with something and then backs up? We still have not seen the president talk about the bill since yesterday, even though his entire staff is talking about it. But Mitch is going to have his bill, Mitch's bill, up for a vote tomorrow. And will it pass? Well, ironically, there's a couple Republicans that are now coming out and saying, no, I'm not voting for this darn horrible bill. Senator Rand Paul of Kentucky, said he would oppose the bill. He says just too much debt. It's just a lot of debt. Doesn't come close to addressing the problems and is heading nowhere, said Chuck Schumer. Chuck Schumer says that the Republicans may modify the bill. There's a good chance that they feel the pressure once they see the Democrats are not willing to fold on this emaciated bill, which leaves out so much, the pressure will mount on them. But there's enough indications tonight that first, the bill will not pass the House because, and second, it may not pass the Senate with enough votes for filibuster. But now it may not even pass the Senate because it does not have enough Republican support. We really just don't know. But there's a new report out tonight that says that there is a big call for these stimulus checks to go out right away. Bill Hoagland, Senior Vice President of the Bipartisan Policy Institute and former Senate staff member, says, unless something breaks, you're not going to see any action by this legislative body anytime soon. If the FEMA money's gone, you're going to cut off at least $300 as being made available right now. Well, that's thank you, Captain Obvious. There may be only a spark, but it will re-energize the Democrats and the Republicans to do something maybe before the end of the month. I don't necessarily agree with that at all. I just think it's going to come potentially by executive order. Direct payments are the most effective, fastest way to support American families, Foster said. In the last 6 months, we've received only one $1,200 payment, which is not enough. Oh, boy, I love this guy, but he is a little bit Captain Obvious. As you sit here tonight, what should you think about the situation? What you should really think about the situation, and certainly a fluid situation, is this is why you have to watch me over a 3.5-hour programming schedule every single day, because things change literally every 2 hours. But as I sit here tonight on a Wednesday evening, my opinion, if you ask me my opinion, is the following. The president has to do an executive order, is my opinion. He has to do an executive order for stimulus checks, and he has to do an executive order for FPUC. And if that money is really there, then he has to do it. Because you know why? If he doesn't, he's not going to get reelected. It's as simple as that. That's the first thing. Second, because there's something inherently not projecting well to the American public. And what I had always said is finally happening, is finally happening tonight. There is a lot of brand new news reports tonight about why is there no stimulus checks? Why is there no stimulus checks? Did anyone notice there's no stimulus checks in there? Finally, this is a big finally, news reporters are putting stimulus checks on front page news articles tonight. They are literally all over the place, and they're trying to figure out why are stimulus checks not in there. And part of these dates was pulled from an article that actually said how many times were we told we're going to get stimulus checks, and why are we not getting them tonight? So they really are ramping up the pressure, journalists, and saying, why are we not getting stimulus checks when a few things have happened here? One, Republicans and Democrats agree upon stimulus checks. 2, we've been told we'll get stimulus checks. 3, we need stimulus checks. 4. We've been waiting for stimulus checks since March. You know, if we didn't have if we had everything that I just said up to the last comment, we've been waiting since March, it would have its own flavor. But the fact that families have been damn waiting since friggin' March to get a stimulus check of $1,200 in their hands, while Mitch McConnell comes back with another $300 to $200 billion round of PPP for big businesses, is absolutely categorically unexplainable. It doesn't make sense. What's strange is that stimulus checks don't cost a lot of money to send out. $300 billion, $250 billion, somewhere around there. PPP costs almost more, if not a lot more. Why do we keep on doing PPP when no one's asking for PPP? The last round of PPP came out and expired just about 2 weeks ago. Guess what happened? They didn't use the money. The money was unused. It was $180 to $200 million of PPP not used because no one wanted it. So guess what they're back again with? PPP. We didn't want it last time. Why are you eating up this bill, which ironically tonight we now realize is $700 billion, not $500 billion, with things that people don't want? It's not inherently clear. And so ultimately tonight, my opinion, if you ask me my opinion, is that you're going to get a stimulus check. You're going to get a stimulus check. It has to arrive. It has to arrive. This president has to do an executive order. He has to do an executive order for stimulus checks, and he has to do an executive order for LWA, because currently there's nothing teed up to get it done in the legislative body of the Congress. It's not going to happen there unless they completely just roll over and just give the Temple of Doom everything she wants. And unless that's the scenario, he has to do an executive order, 2 executive orders. And if he doesn't, he's literally going to be toast this fall election, because no one is going to tolerate coming into October with no LWA benefits. LWA will be gone. There'll be no FPUC. You'll be living on $49 to $69 to $129 a week of unemployment benefits, which is not going to cut it. In California, 40% of the workforce is unemployed. And you know what California pays? $167 a week. You know what $167 a week pays for in California? It basically pays for like a half of your electric bill for a day. I mean, and I understand California is a Democratic state generally, but it's the point is the same across the country. No one is going to tolerate this. And we're not even to civil unrest. I just see this getting very bad very quickly. So if he doesn't send it out. So if you ask me tonight what my opinion is, I think you're going to get stimulus checks. I think executive orders around the corner. I think an executive order for LWA is happening. I don't see any reason it would not. There's no reason currently that suggests that it won't happen. And everything points to the fact that it should and has to happen. And with that conclusion, we really do end on great news tonight. I want you to have spirits and keep strong and keep motivated and keep focused, because this is totally crazy. It's all over the place, and I understand how, it's just sort of like one of those rides at Magic Mountain that goes up and then goes down and goes up and goes down. And I understand it's a ride, but you're here along with someone that cares about you and you care about me. It's a great community, and we're very, very supportive of one another, and we try to keep that support, whether it's on social media or here or on the channel. So we're together. We're going to get through it together. Go to the front of this channel and hit that subscribe button, and there's an alert button next to it. If we get to 250,000 subscribers in 48 hours, this is Wednesday, so that's Friday, Saturday. By Saturday, I will release a never before seen special, which I taped on location, which was a 100,000 subscriber special that showed you behind the scene footage and behind the scene details that you had never heard before about this channel. You'll really enjoy it. So get to 250,000 subscribers and I'll release it. And also like this video. It really helps the algorithm. Coming up next is a continuation of this video, but focusing on why why EIDL grants that could be $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 in your bank account were left out of the second stimulus check round again. And once again, PPP, which people really just don't like, was put back in there. Moreover, I will be talking about the Main Street Lending Program, which may help a lot of you as well. And finally, the issue about increasing loans and free grants. If you want free money, if you want loans, if you want both of them, tune into that next broadcast. As always, stay informed, stay smiling, and stay FLA for more.